What is your advice to a youngster, Beatrice?
Well, my advice to the youngster is do what makes you happy. Do as what I said earlier, follow your heart. Go within yourself and ask yourself, what is it you want to do? Forget the rest of the world. Just look at what you want to do. What is it you're best at? What is it makes you happy? What is it that you're good at? And don't think in terms of money. Don't think, can I make money from it or not? Is this going to make money or not? You don't know. You can think that doing law is going to make you money, and you may spend 4 years doing law and then you're not even practicing it. I know so many lawyers who come to my office and ask for jobs as writers because they just did it because their parents wanted them to do law, but they really want to do something else. So you do you. Don't worry too much about what. Don't allow expectations of others to run your life. You do what you are only obliged to listen to what your heart tells you. Because you owe it to yourself to live your life to the best of your ability, to the maximum of your happiness. It's not selfish. Let me tell you that. It's not selfish. People want you to do things because they want you to do it, and they tell you that you're selfish. You do it. You are not selfish. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to you and the rest of your life to do what makes you happy. So if you think in your heart tells you that, I just actually want to just study economics. I love it. I really love it. I like it, but I don't know whether there's scope for it, there's a job for it, and you just do it. You will find it. Because you're passionate in what you do, you will find money will come to you. And again, you don't have to have a ton of money to make you happy. You need yourself to make you happy. Simple things in life can make you happy. Waking up in the morning and going for a walk and feeling the sun on you, that makes you happy. In a grander scheme of life, all the little things we thought was so important to impress this person or that person, it really doesn't matter. In the grander scheme of life,
another session in the MBA Diaries, where we meet specialists, experts, and global veterans in different fields for the purpose of inspiring love for learning. So as Asia Pacific Institute of Information Technology, we are honored to be hosting this webinar today, again with a special person who would be sharing something that is not there just in another theory book. Right. So having said that, let me warmly welcome all our students from Staffordshire University who are in our platform today. And of course, all our members who are joining us from our counterpart universities and our staff members who are on board with us as well. In addition to that, all the guests and the diplomats who are joining us from all around the world today, a warm welcome to you as well. So with all these welcome thoughts, I would like to invite Dr. Rohan Tatukorala, one of the directors at APIT Sri Lanka, and of course, the pioneering member of this MBA Diaries, connecting and providing opportunities for the students to have global networking opportunity, to take over the conversation, introducing our speaker for the day, and have the fruitful session towards all of your benefits. Dr. Rohantha, over to you.
Thank you very much, Kaushali. And actually, it's kind of an honor today to introduce such an eminent personality coming out of Malaysia. She's at the helm of the IBR Asia Group, which was founded in 1997, and growing it into a new age PR company with dedicated publishing, events, digital marketing, training, and investor relations divisions. As a successful entrepreneur with dynamic and charismatic personality, she has a fantastic perspective that have led her to being much in demand speaker, panelist, moderator, especially on topics such as entrepreneurship, women empowerment, and talent development. A revolution lies in the Malaysian business and media landscape by creating International Business Review, the first ever business publication to connect corporate and government decision makers to one another. She has reinvented the IBR Asia Group by transforming it from a pure publishing entity to a boutique PR and communications house offering a 360-degree offline, online, on the ground publicity and branding solutions. A member of the University of Malaya's Advisory Committee for Student Industrial Training, and also has created the Voice of ASEAN, a regional news and business networking platform that showcases the business opportunities, investment potential, and connects the whole of South Asia to the world. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the founder and CEO of the IBR Asia Group, chairwoman driving entrepreneurship for the women of Indian origin at the National Chamber of Commerce and Industry Malaysia, Datuk Beatrice Nirmala. Over to you, ma'am.
Hello.
Go ahead, Beatrice. Over to you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, very clear.
Okay, thank you. It got frozen just now. So good evening, everybody. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, good evening. Lovely seeing you again, Beatrice. And our guys are in different platforms, so you're on the dedicated speaker platform.
Oh, okay. So I'll start. So the topic given to me was driving is entrepreneurship, how to get started. And I think how to get started is, we all start our journey in entrepreneurship because we have to. We never say that, it's something that I want to do, something that I want to try. Let me just give it a shot and see whether it's going to work out or not. Because when you have reservations about doing something, most of the time, that's not going to work out. So the greatest entrepreneurs in life have always started from a place that's really hard, where there was an urgency for them to go out there, grab the bull by the horns, and just start doing it. There's no turning back. There's nothing to fall back on. So when you have nothing to fall back on, your back is to the wall, and you just need to go out and do something. Because if you don't do it, you're not going to be, you don't have a choice, or you're not going to be happy with yourself. When you have that mindset, then you will start and you will not fail, because failure is not an option. So I'll tell you a little bit about how I began. I think it'll resonate with a lot of you. It may not be everyone's story, but it's a universal theme of why people start going into the whole world of entrepreneurship, and not just going into it, because that's just the beginning. It's how you sustain it, how you keep the fire going, how you keep the passion going, how you have to take the failures, which are inevitably going to happen. You're going to fail. You're going to fail 10 times, 20 times, 100 times. It's all part of the journey. And if we get discouraged or lose confidence at some part along the way, you will never be able to climb the mountain and see this view. And at every part of your journey, when you start falling down, you just have to tell yourself, this is not permanent, this is temporary. Because at that point, it may seem very permanent to a lot of us. We may think that's the end of it. This is rock bottom. I'm scraping rock bottom. I can't do it anymore. I've got to give up. The thing that I have to say is never give up. Never. And my journey is a testament to that. There have been times when it's been so bad that I just wanted to crawl into a hole and just disappear. And but it was me feeling like a failure. To the outside world, people just looked at me and thought I was doing good, but it was me feeling like a failure. And even, but I would say that, that not, if I'd given up then, I would not be where I am. So never give up, even when things look really bad, when everything seems to be working against you, never give up. So that would be the number one rule in entrepreneurship. Okay, never give up. People will say you're bullheaded. People will say you are stupid for trying something like that. People may say, but everybody else is doing that, and you are doing this. Come on, we got to do this. And I'm telling you something. Don't follow what everyone else is doing. If you want to be successful in what you do, and it may sound tacky or what, and it may be used many times, but I'm telling you, there's one thing that's the secret of success for all entrepreneurs. You do you. You do what you believe in. I mean, of course, you have calculated guesses on what you should do. You know what would work best for you. You know what's your talent. You know what the market would want, but you have to go with your instinct. This what everyone else does is what we should do, and don't do what no one else does. Now that is what your brain tells you. That's what your mind tells you. Very often we are trained from birth until we die that we have to follow the mind. Don't follow your heart. You hear that? Don't follow your heart. Follow your mind. But when you follow your mind, you are basically, you have been indoctrinated from the time you are born from the way your parents raised you for good or bad. They may be discouraging you based on their fears or their traumas or their limitations of what they could do. And that fears that they bring in, that they carry, is indoctrinated into you. And then you go to school. You're told to think a certain way, and then you're told that that is the norm, that's what you should do. So we're all like a group, we're in a very herd mentality. We all say, yes, this is, we are given that, the carrot, that if you comply and you follow a certain way of doing it, that's the good thing to do. So it becomes, what do you call it, mind speak. You sort of have a high mentality. This is what we need to do. And then from there, we go to the university and we are taught this is it. This is how people have done it. And therefore, this is how you should do it. And you don't question the status quo. And you think that way. Then you go on and you have society around you that tells you, this is it. This is how you're going to do it. Do not question the narrative. Do not question the status quo. Now, that's why when you follow your mind, you are not following your mind. You're following the mind that has been controlled from birth till where you are to think a certain way. Now, when you listen to your heart is actually your instinct. It is every inch and every fiber from every cell in your body being in agreement with what you know best. And you can only thrive if you're doing something that you know best. You can't thrive if you're doing something that other people think they know best. So that's another fallacy that, another big fallacy in not being able to be happy in the business that we choose. When you think that you have to do something for the sake of winning, and you're not doing something for the sake of what you want to do, what you believe in, and what you know you are the best to do, you got to choose a business that you innately know that you are passionate about it, because it's going to be a long, rocky climb, and a huge amount of obstacles are going to come up there and fall on you like a ton of bricks. And the only thing that's going to keep you going through all of this is passion. The passion for what you do, the passion that keeps you moving through even when you're too tired. Like today, actually, such a long day. I started my day at 8:30. I managed to sign a deal with to create a new separate company with some new stakeholders. And then it was meetings with the ministry. It was dealing with stuff in the office. It's 9 o'clock. I'm tired, but you know what? I'm passionate about what I do. And I'm so excited to sit here and talk to you. So the energy levels are there. I don't have to take pills to keep my energy going because I'm passionate in what I do. And I like what I do. And that's so important. If you're going to go into business for yourself, don't have to follow anyone. You don't have to think that Elon Musk has done it and I'm going to be like Elon Musk. There will be billionaires. The number of billionaires we have, it's not like what you think. They started small and they went on a journey and they become that big, and all of us can be an Elon Musk or a Bill Gates. No, not all of us can be that. They come from privileged families. They come from privileged societies. It wasn't that. It's not you and I. You and I come from ordinary families. So we do not have to benchmark ourselves against billionaires in the world. We benchmark ourselves against us. So it comes back to what you want to do with your life. When you do something that makes you happy, it is not work. When you do something where you have a sense of purpose, you have a dream, and then you hitch your life to that larger sense of purpose than just getting up in the morning, having food and having a car and having a house and then having kids and getting married, and then that's it. When you have something that's bigger than this whole purpose of you, when you have that, it makes you glow from within. It gives you energy. It gives you life. It gives you the desire to be better in every way and in any way. So that is something you need to be able, and for you to know what it is, you don't listen to your head. You got to listen to your heart. Every time I have listened to my head, I have never made the right decision. I've never been happy. But every time I listen to my heart, and then I just go with what my heart tells me, and the heart is equivalent to instinct. Never doubt your instincts. Your instincts are always right. Again, as I said, the indoctrination to believe in the mind, not so much in the heart, is what makes us doubt our instincts. It makes us doubt ourselves. It makes us doubt our entire self-belief. And that's the most important thing you need. In entrepreneurship, forget entrepreneurship, even in the little things you do, the little goals you give yourself, self-belief is extremely important. And self-belief will only come when you can trust your instinct. And you can trust your instinct means you trust yourself. So a lot of work for us to be extremely successful. And success is not just money. Again, we live in a world where success is generally measured by the amount of money you make. And that's really bullshit. Because success is not about money. It's the people who run the world want you to think that it's all about the money. You gauge yourself with how big a car you drive or how big a house you have. And when you gauge yourself with the amount of money you make, you're never going to be happy because you're always going to compare yourself to someone else. And comparison is the thief of joy. If you're going to keep comparing yourself with a bigger car, there's always going to be someone with a better house. There's always going to be someone who you think is smarter than you. There's always going to be someone who has a better body, who could be better looking than you, or whatever, So never compare yourself. Don't set your standards with somebody else or somebody else's achievements, because that's irrelevant. You set your gauge by what you want to do and what you want to achieve. That's the goal. And you make yourself better every day. You compete with yourself. You don't compete with anybody else. You compete with yourself. Can I do better tomorrow? Can I reach this? I have this goal, and this goal could be X and Y and Z. And I'm going to get that. It may take me 3 years. It may take me 2 years. It may take me 10 years, but I'm going to get that. Now you have to have the end objective in mind. So when you have the end objective in mind, you have a goal, you have something to work towards. And when you work towards that goal, because you're hitching your mind and your perspective and your objective on something that is right there, everything else does not hold you down. You stop wallowing in self-pity or misery. You stop picking on the small things. You stop getting petty. You don't need to have squabbles with people. You're like, I've got something bigger that I want to go for, and that's making me happy. This journey makes me happy. And then you start realizing it doesn't matter what anyone else is doing. It doesn't matter that that person has got X, Y, Z in their life or what. It doesn't matter. You just wish them well. You're happy for them, but you are excited about what you have in front of you. So that sense of purpose is important. And that sense of purpose is something you set for yourself. You don't set it because your parents tell you that that's the purpose you should have, because then you're living someone else's dream. You're living through someone else's eyes. You're living constantly for validation from the people around you, and that kills you. When you don't live for yourself and you live for validation from anyone around you, everybody then becomes your boss. And it's not that they are paying you salary or anything. They just become your boss because you have to live up and please every person. And you can't do that. If you spend your life pleasing everyone around you, you are not pleasing yourself. And self-love, that's the fourth element. Self-love is key for you to be happy, successful, and contented. And how do you get self-love? You will be amazed the number of people who don't even think they deserve that kind of self-love. They put themselves last. And I'm not talking just about women. I'm talking about women bear the brunt of it, because we are raised from, again, birth. We are raised from as little girls to always put everyone else ahead of us and put ourselves last, especially from an Indian family. We are from we are South Asian. So we know really, it's a very Asian thing. I'm not sure about other Asians, but yeah, I think all Asians, we are taught to put ourselves last because as girls, we have to be, we have to give priority to our husbands, our parents. We have to put the husband first, the parent first, the children first, and us last. And then, of course, the societal expectations of women. So we always put ourselves last to the point that we never know who we are. We don't know what we really want because it's not important, apparently. It's not important what we want. For us to know what we want or to demand what we want for ourselves is deemed selfish in society. You have to be a good mother. Being a good mother is more important than being good to yourself. Being a good wife is more important than being good to yourself. Being a good daughter is more important than being good to yourself. That's been indoctrinated in our minds. And that is why it's always so much harder for women to become entrepreneurs. Because to be an entrepreneur, you have to put yourself first. You have to put your clients first. You have to put your objectives first. You have to put your vision first. You have to be able to speak in a way where you're basically calling the shots. And when you're calling the shots, you're basically putting everything else, putting your wish ahead of everybody else. I need to get it done. I need to get it done by today. I don't care if it's going to take da 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 da. I need to get it done. So when you think like that, your priorities are not really being someone's wife or someone's mother or someone's daughter. Your priority is, I want to get the job done. Now, it's easy for men because they've been raised to be the breadwinners. So they've always been given the leeway of saying, leave him alone. Leave him alone. He knows what he's doing. Oh, don't distract him. But for a woman, it's not that. Even if you are running a business, for example, I work. Look at me. I come back on average 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, but I'm still like, my mom still thinks I'm not good enough because I don't cook. Even if I have a maid who cooks, she's like, you're a woman, you need to cook. You don't get that with a man. So if you look at that, you put two people in the same level, a woman will have to work so much more harder to be able to be perfect at work and to be perfect for her society. And that's the one thing that holds us back. And can you blame society? Can you blame your parents? No, that's the way they were raised. Your parents were raised that way. Your mother is raised that way. Society is just following whatever they learned from their earlier generation. And so you can't expect society or parents or everyone to change. The only way you can change that is by changing yourself. So I have changed that in my life. I've decided that I want adventure in my life. I'm not going to settle in being second fiddle to someone or something. I have my life is going to be an adventure, and I'm going to live it to the best of my ability. And that's something I decided. I'm going to live my life. And so I was a teacher. I actually gone through all what we need to be, what you need, the crucial elements that you need for to be able to succeed fairly well in being an entrepreneur. And before I go on to my journey, I want to just say one more thing. As I told you about self-love, although a lot of people don't have that. I talked about how it's harder for women to have self-love because you're so indoctrinated to give love to everyone else around you that you forget yourself. And so even if you're not an entrepreneur, even just being a woman can be hard when you come from a society that expects you to give all the time and not expect anything in return, and that even expecting something in return for yourself is considered selfish. You sort of lose yourself. You lose your self-worth in the process, and you sometimes don't even know who you are. And that's one of the saddest things I've seen happen to the women around me. They may not admit it. No one talks about it. There's another thing. People don't talk about this. Again, it's a stigma. You don't want to be the person who says things that are so hard. And in our society, in our culture, you don't talk about things like that. It's much more open in the Western cultures. But in our culture, you just don't say that. What do people think? Another thing, we are raised, and this is so bad for entrepreneurship, right? We are raised to always question, what will people think? I hated that growing up. I asked my mom, why does it matter what people think? It matters what I think, what you think. You're my mom, I'm me. It matters what I think. But no, for my mom, most important thing, and I think it's every Indian family will have that. What will people think? What will your neighbors say? What will X, Y, Z say? What will A, B say? I don't care. Because if I were to worry about what everyone is saying, it goes back to me trying to please everyone. And they don't live my life. They don't walk a mile in my shoes. And I told my mom, if they're not putting food on my table, if they're not paying my rent, it doesn't matter what they say or what they think. They can keep their opinions to themselves, because when problems come or when calamities come, they're not going to come in and help you. You are going to help you. I will have to help myself. So we have to believe that at the end of the day, it's going to be me for me. I will have to figure problems out myself. No one's going to help me. Everyone's going to have a lot of things to advise me about, but no one's going to help you. No one's going to come and say, here's some money. You got to figure that out for yourself. So that is why we need to have self-love. And trust me, most people don't. Most people don't understand the thing that's missing, that void that's missing in their life, that little emptiness that you feel deep down is actually the void is actually the void that you can't seem to fill by putting yourself in there. And only when you have the ability to comprehend, then only you can fill that void in you by actually going within yourself and giving yourself that love that you need, that love and respect that you have to give yourself, that no one's really going to give, only you are going to give yourself. And then you become complete. And only when you're a complete person can you rise to the highest of your abilities. It starts from you. No amount of needing or expecting validation from society and everyone around you is going to make a difference. You need to fill that void yourself. You complete it. You don't need validation. And then you become fearless. And I think that's another important component in entrepreneurship. You have to put that fear that gnaws in the depths of your hearts and burns you up and makes you walk away from so many opportunities that would have come your way and you didn't take it. And I'm speaking from experience. I was a very fearful person. I was afraid of everything that I was taught to be afraid of. But when I stopped being afraid, and when I stopped being afraid, I started flying. Nothing held me back. And I realized the only thing that held me back was the limitations that I imposed on myself. The fears that I allowed to fester in me that stopped me from going the extra distance. I couldn't blame anyone. It was me that I allowed myself to become the person who feared everything. So by going within, by loving myself, by completing that void within me, all those voices that keep going in my head from the past, from my childhood, all of that went off. I wasn't afraid of what anyone thought anymore. And when I stopped being afraid what anyone thought, everyone started listening to me because I spoke with conviction. I spoke with strength. I spoke with the energy that comes from knowing that you're going in a direction that no one's going to stop you from. If I fail, I fail. It's not your failure, it's my failure. So what is it to you? If I win, I win. If I don't win, it's okay. It's not about the destination. It's always about the journey. It's about the adventure. Life is finite. So you don't want to waste it on just existing for the sake of existing. You want to live it. You want to live it triumphantly. You want to be the lion that actually can roar. Because there's so much of sheep in this world. So you may want to say sheep are bad. Well, what I'm saying is if you're looking at proving yourself, be fearless. Take on every challenge and say, I'm going to do it. If I fail, so what? And that's the last thing I'll talk about is failure. The fear of failure is something we need to eradicate from our system, because the fear of failure is what holds you back. Not that you're not good enough, not that you can't do it, not that you are probably more powerful and more significant than you allow yourself to think you are. But it's the fear of failure embedded in your psyche that stops you from going out there and living the maximum of what you can do. And how do you discard that fear of failure? You've got to have self-love. You got to believe in yourself. The believe in yourself comes with self-love. All right. So, and you're going to ask me, I know you're not able to ask me questions directly, but I think one thing that's going on in probably 60% of your minds is, what's she talking about? What is this self-love? What is that? How do I just go and do I buy it in a shop? Can I order a mail order? You know, is this Amazon deliver self-love? No, self-love is something you actually work on. It's like a meditation. You work on it. Something that I learned every day, and I teach as many people as I can because it saved me. There was a point in my life when I was going to give up everything, and I said, "This is not for me. I'm just going to give up. I can't do this anymore." And I went into a really low period of my life where I just didn't like who I was. And I talk about it because there are many people who go through this phase and they refuse to talk about it because they're embarrassed. There is no embarrassment for me because you know what? I have no fear. I don't care what people think about me. I know who I am. I know what I want. I know where I'm going. For me to speak like this has taken me so many years to come here to this level. And that comes because finally I could get that self-love. And this is something that will appeal to, that everyone needs, not just about being a superb entrepreneur. It's about being excellent in your life, living your life the way you want it, to be able to move forward in any direction, whether it's even in your relationship or whether it's in your career, whether it's in the business that you want to start, whether it's in just being at peace with yourself. That self-love is important. Look in the mirror, and this is a tip that I give you. I know it sounds silly because it sounded silly to me initially, but when I actually practiced it, I found myself changing. Every morning, just look in the mirror. It takes you 1 minute. 1 to 2 minutes, look in the mirror, look at your eyes, directly into your eyes. Because when you look from the mirror, when you look directly into your pupils, directly into your eyes, you are actually getting into your soul. And you speak to your soul. And you tell your soul, you tell yourself, you tell the very essence of you, I love you. Because that's all you need to have, your own self-love. I love you, I respect you, I think the world of you, and whatever else you want to say that. And say that, hug yourself. You repeat that every day for 2 months, and you tell me if you don't feel the difference. Slowly and steadily, you'll find your fears dissipating. Keep doing it. It's not a one-day thing. You just keep doing it. Do it. I do it as every day as I can. The days I forget, but then the next day I'm like, no, I didn't do it. And it has made a difference to me. So that's how you eradicate self-doubt. You eradicate all the traumas from the past that always come in there, and they have a place in your head, and they tell you not to believe in yourself. All that's eradicated with self-love. So now that I've gone through all the elements you need to make a better version of yourself that is fearless in being able to take on any challenges. I don't know if I have time yet. I'm not sure how much more time. Do I have more time? Do I have another 5 minutes to 10 minutes?
Go ahead, Beatrice. It's beautiful.
Oh, thank you. All right. So my journey, I started as I was a physics teacher. I was a physics teacher. I'll start from way much earlier. Okay. As a little girl, as I told you, I grew up thinking very little of myself because I'm a girl. I come from a very conservative family, and they were like, if you look at me now, you'll never be able to imagine the background I came from. I come from very conservative parents who, my mom used to tell me, it's a curse to have girls because, girls are so hard to handle. I wish you were a boy because you're such a girl, and, we have to worry about girls, and we'll have to get you married, and we'll have to get you this, and it was as if it was such a, how to say, you grow up feeling unwanted because you were a girl and everything you do is wrong. And I was a very strong-willed person. So I used to ask a lot of questions, which was not good. My mom actually told me, you walk too proudly. Because I used to read self-help books that, you have to have a good posture when you walk. And I used to walk with my head held high. There was an automatic reflex. I think that's who I am. I like to walk like I own the place. The mom would say, that's terrible. Walk with your shoulders hunched and your head cowed. You have to put your head down because that's how good girls walk. And I'm like, what? Good girls are supposed to have no spirit in them. Again, so I'm telling you, a lot of what works against women is not the boardroom, It's not anything else. It's our culture that actually makes us less than what we are. And so it has to change. If women are going to have confidence in themselves to be able to, let alone be an entrepreneur, to rise to the highest levels of whatever they choose to be, and they have to have a choice. Whether if they want to be a mother and a wife, it's good. That's the choice. That's what feels good for them. If they want to choose to be in a career and they want to go and be an entrepreneur, they should be able to do that. But you're only going to do that if the playing field is leveled, which means the playing field doesn't start at the age of 30. It doesn't start in society. It doesn't start in the university. It doesn't start somewhere in the corporate culture. Because very often I see the government telling the corporate sector to change the ways, you must have 30% diversity. There's no point having 30%, the 30% quota rule for women in boardroom if they are not the best people for it. I'm very against quotas because I think quotas is actually, what's the word for me? It takes away from us being the best that we can be. It's like treating you like you're a handicapped person. You have to have a quota system. No, you see, if you have leveled the playing field from the get-go, from the very beginning, where from when you're born until you grow up, the most amount of who you are, what makes you who you are, happens in your formative years. And it's in the formative years that when you come from a family that tells you that you're not good enough, or girls should be seen and not heard, girls' role is in the kitchen, should be cooking, or the one thing that is the best thing you can do is to get married and take care of your husband. You don't expect someone with that psyche to go out there and become an entrepreneur, become a director of equal standing with a man, because in your formative years, that psyche has been set in. So you're always going to be thinking, no matter what education you get in the university, no matter whether you got a PhD, you're still going to think, I'm not good enough. And that's what most women have. They have the psyche or the mentality that they're not good enough. And we think they're weak. And we don't know women think like that. But the fact of the matter, which no one talks about, is that it's formed in your formative years as a little girl, where you're told again and again and again that you're not good enough. The man is always better. The man is better in finances. The man is better in strategy. The man is better in business. The man is better. And boys are then given that. They're reinforced. You are the man. You are the man of the family. You are the one who's going to do it. You are brave. You can handle it. So boys grow up being reinforced that they can take it. They're very confident. If you look at boys and girls, you generally find girls are not having as much confidence as boys. They have confidence in other things, perhaps, but when it comes to, let's say, mathematics, they'll say, women are not good in mathematics, boys are better in mathematics. That was my generation. But when I was teaching in my university, 80% of the best students in the class were girls, So what I always say is there's no difference between a man and a woman besides the genitals. There's no difference. Willpower, discipline, perseverance, a hunger to get it done right. Both have that in equal abundance. It's just that the only difference I would say is besides genitals, men are stronger, women are not as strong as men. But everything else, everything else, what's the difference? The difference is in the way we are brought up. The difference is in our mindset. The difference is in the limitations in our head. And once you level that, that's when you make a difference. You level that from the formative years. You make women think that the choice you make in wanting to not cook at home, for example, is a choice you make. That doesn't mean you're less of a woman. It just doesn't mean that that's not what you like doing. I don't like cooking, honestly. I try to pretend I do because that's what is expected, but I really don't like it. I'm bored with cooking. That's not me. But imagine that I'm supposed to just do that and pretend that that's what I want to do. I will be living a lie. That's not who I am. And it only took me, about a few years ago, I just told my mom, can you stop? I'm not interested in cooking, but I bring home the bacon. I run this family. I pay for all the bills. I am in charge, okay? Now, you don't tell that to a man. Why aren't you cooking? So stop doing that with me. So when I speak that way, she still doesn't get it because, it's been indoctrinated in her mind that because she's a great cook, that all women should cook. But that's an example. That's a tiny example of how it stigmas against us. That's a stigma against what we have to fight against to be held in equal field when men or women. So, so yeah, so as I say, quotas, 30%. I mean, it's good. I am a woman. I would love to have as many opportunities as can be given, but I'm not going to steal it from a man who's better than me. And there are men or women who are going to be better than me in whatever, finance or accounts or strategy. If they're better, they're better. And we got to give credit where it's due. I'm not going to steal an opportunity from a man because I'm a woman on account of my gender. So that's the whole 30% in the boardroom thing has to be rethought. You can't just put people there for the sake of their gender or their race or their religion. You got to, in a corporate world, you can do it anywhere else, but in a corporate world, it's all about the bottom line. It's about profit and loss. It's about the ability to move the company in greater direction. And it doesn't matter whether it's a woman, a man, or a transgender. If you can get the job done, if your performance is top notch, you should be the best person for it. Giving women confidence, however, is something that shouldn't be given at the age of 40. It's something that's given when you are at a formative age. So raise the way you raise them, women and men, makes a whole lot of difference in society eventually. But it's really hard because you got to go against the grain of cultural and societal concepts that have made women feel that they are second best and therefore they have the imposter syndrome. So finally, now that we know what are the core elements of entrepreneurship, of actually making it work, not just having a vision, not just executing it, but sustaining it over many years to make it work. And again, we don't gauge it by the amount of money. Money is just money. You know, what achievement would be the ability to make an impact in yourself, in the world around you. When even as a smaller entrepreneur, when you give a job to 15 people and their livelihoods, and you manage to feed 15 families because your idea or your innovation gave birth to the ability to have 15 people benefit from it and feel happy coming to work and having and feeding their families from it. That's wealth creation. And no matter how small your business, if you're a wealth creator, pat yourself on the back. Don't compare yourself with someone who's got billions of dollars and they owe billions more, you know? Just because you got a lot of money doesn't mean you're successful. It just means you owe a lot more to the banks. The banks are holding you captive. And I feel that if I don't have banks holding me captive, but I have a small business and I'm helping 10, 15 people live their dreams with me, I'm happy. I think that's successful for me. And my success will be the happiness my gauge of success would be the happiness I feel. If I wake up in the morning, if I'm excited about going to work and I'm excited about something new and I can work 12 hours in a day and I don't consider that work because I'm excited. I hate this work-life balance. I don't know what's that. It's not meant for me. I don't know what that is. I balance my work and life in my own way. I don't want people telling me, no, you should come back at 6 o'clock so that you can watch television. I don't like television. I don't watch television. I really find it anal. I like books. I read books, but I don't want to watch television. I don't like cooking. I like what I do. I'm passionate about the next vision, creating the next, going the next mile, climbing that one rung up, another rung up. It's a euphoria you get when you've achieved something, when you started thinking of something, and then you can breathe life into it. Then you can flesh it out and you move one rung. That's what I like. So I'm not going to go and come back just because people think that I should come back at 6 o'clock. My staff can. Everyone, to each and everyone their own choice. I don't. I like what I do. Yesterday, I went back at 12 o'clock from having drinks with some people who are very prominent people. I'd rather be at home reading a book, but it's part of networking. I learn from their conversations. I have another friend. They introduce friends. Networking is an essential part of doing a business. It's an essential part of any growth. So if you're going to just be within yourself and your work and your family, you're not networking. You're not growing your pool of friends and advisors. And you need to mix with the right group of people if you're going to go next level. So yesterday I'm sitting with a billionaire. I'm sitting with Who's the other guy? Oh, you know Jahangir Khan, the squash player, the 10 times British Open, 6 times World Championship. He was down. So this friend of mine, who is one of Malaysia's multi-billionaire, who brought him down for his daughter's wedding, and he brought him to this place, and then we were joined by former Standard Chartered CEO, and he said, come and join me. And you know what? I was so tired. I didn't say no because it's an opportunity for me to go and mix with all of them. And I came back at 1 o'clock. I woke up at 5 o'clock today. I have very little sleep. You can see the dark circles under my eye. But you know what? I'm excited for my life. I'm excited with the people I meet. I started my life as a physics teacher because my parents told me that's what girls should do, teach. That's the best job for a girl, to teach. They never expected me to be a CEO of a company like IBR Asia Group or Voice of Us. And through no help of theirs, I became what I am because I followed my dream. I followed my passion. I followed my instinct. At some point when I was a physics teacher, I felt so lost because I asked myself, is this it? Am I going to just teach? I love teaching. I loved it. I think I just got such a big kick from it, but I also had all this energy and I wanted to do so much. And I was talking to the person, head of the faculty. I was teaching physics and maths. So I was talking to, I went to the head of the faculty, I went to the dean, I said, will there be anything else I can do? I can do so much more. And they said, and they didn't like that because I think I don't know, they didn't like that. They said, no, it'll take you another 5 years before you can actually come to a level of head of department. And then we'll figure out whether you can be good enough for this. And my biggest weakness, or maybe my biggest strength, I don't know which is it, because triumph and disaster, they're both imposters, aren't they? As Rudyard Kipling said. So I think my biggest weakness / strength was impatience. I couldn't wait. I just had to go and figure out something for myself. And then I got pregnant with my daughter. I was 20, how old was I? I got married very young. Why I got married? Because I was given the job. I was the first woman who was given the job as a field engineer in Schlumberger. Schlumberger was an oil and gas exploration company, and it was the job that all the boys in my physics faculty in the university wanted. Everyone applied for it. I was the only one who got it. I was so excited because my first posting would be to the North Seas, and I was so excited. This is what I really, really wanted. For me, that adventure, I always wanted adventure, going out there in the raging seas, climbing up rigs, whatever it was that I was supposed to do. It wasn't easy because I had to audition. We had to go for interviews. We went for 1 week in Medan, and I made it. My parents did not let me take that job. They made such a big fuss because they said that's not a job for a girl, and I had to give it up. They humored me until I got the job, and when I got the job, they just refused to. They refused to, and it got me married off. So, so what I'm saying is parents shouldn't interfere in the dreams of their children, because until now, it's the biggest regret of my life that I did not do that. But life finds its way. I still got my adventure. I may not have gone up to Schlumberger. I became a physics and maths teacher for 4 years. I enjoyed those 4 years. I'm a storyteller at heart. So even if it was physics and it was it's very scientific, I like science because science is very logical, but I made a good storytelling out of it. So I started having the largest physics class ever. And at some point when my daughter was born, I think it was my raging hormone, but it's decided I got to do something. I was earning very little at that time. And I was like, I can't bring my daughter, and then I can't even get her the things that I could afford to. So I told my husband then, I said, we've spent all our money, all our savings has gone into buying this nice little single-story terrace house, which we were so proud of. And we were paying the installment for the car. It was this really nice average family thing. And I said, I want to sell the house, and I want to because I want to start a business. I want to try. And I don't have money. You and I, we don't have money. After we pay the installment for the house and we pay the installment for the car, and we are pregnant now, and we need to have our baby out in a hospital, and it's going to be so much expensive. We got zero in the bank account after paying for our installments for a car and a house. The zero. How are we going to manage? And then I said, but we the only thing we have is a house. Now, I didn't even ask him, can I? I said, I managed to persuade him on this wild thing that, we're going to start doing something. We got to go to business ourselves. Let's do a pet magazine. So to cut a long story short, we had no idea how to do a pet magazine because we were physics and maths teachers, both of us. So I started writing whatever I needed to write. Okay, whenever the time is done, just let me know. I can go on forever when I start talking about this. So just tell me how much more time, Dr. Rohanta. But I think I'll take another 5 minutes and I'll wrap it up. So so I was crazy. I was 26 years old. Yeah, I said, I have at 26. Yeah, I said, we got to do this. It's now or never. It's do or die. If we fail, we fail, but we can go back to teaching. But if we don't do this, we will never know if we could have done this. And so I sold my house. I was 4 months pregnant and we sold the house. It was the worst time to sell a house, I guess, because I'm pregnant and we don't have a house of our own anymore. So, but we sold the house, we got the money, bought some laptops and not laptops, it was this desktop. We didn't have laptops back then. We had desktops, hired. I went around trying to figure out how to, in between my classes, I was writing whatever I needed to write, A to Z, for my first publication. I always loved writing. So you see what happened? I went back to my passion because no matter, I wasn't the best physics teacher because, physics is something that I studied for because I didn't have a choice. I was told this is good for me. I was a straight A student in science. So, you gravitate towards graduating in physics. I loved writing though, and I was very good. I was damn good in writing. I can write anything and make a difference. That was what I was good at, and I knew it. And I went back to that passion, and it's not failed me. Where I am right now, we are storytellers. I have a team of writers, and I guide them, and I'm still the fastest writer, but I'm confident in this business because this is what I know best. No matter what, I'm making money out of something that I'm absolutely passionate about. But it took me so many years to finally understand that maybe even not getting Schlumberger was actually the universe just conspiring to giving me a detour and gently nudging me in what was supposed to be. So sometimes when we think something is not working out in our favor and we think we are failing, we think life is hard and that it could be the universe just pushing you, gently nudging you and giving you a detour to go towards what is actually already predestined for you. Something that's going to make you wildly excited at some point in your life. So I sold my house, I managed to find how to do it. It's like at that point when all you've done is teaching physics and maths, and you don't even know how to take all what you've been writing in between your lectures. I'll be giving them like maths questions to solve, and I'll be writing down. And I didn't have laptops, so I'll be writing down what I'm going to put in this chapter, what I'm going to put here. I'm going to be drawing. I did everything myself, A to Z. And that's so crucial. Whatever business you go into, you got to be the best at it. You got to know every single nook and cranny in it so that nobody pulls wool over you. Okay. So did that, went and it was after 3 editions, we knew so little about it. So to cut a long story short, practically lost all the money and tried newer and more innovative ways to understand how the business should work. 1,000 failures to be able to move a few inches ahead, but not giving up. We worked so hard. I worked round the clock. I've never stopped working hard. And that's another thing I want to tell a lot of young people who join us, and even a lot of older people. Nobody died of hard work. You just got better. People are afraid that, I have to calculate how much time I'm going to give here. I'm going to calculate how much time because, this is but nobody died of hard work. And the more time you invest in something that you're doing, your work, your career, your career defines you. It gives you in the house. Yes, I love time with my kids. I know how to hang out, buddy, but I also love what I do. And I find the more time I spend in it, I just keep getting better. I don't get worse. And I keep getting younger. I feel this energy that comes, this youthful energy that comes. Many people, maybe 10 years younger than me would give up faster in many things. I have energy. And where does that energy come? It is fueled by the passion that you have that drives you further. So never doubt yourself. Always go with your instinct. And from that time, that little girl, that young girl who was so like, did I make a mistake? Oh my God, my life is so hard. I want to give up now. I didn't give up. Many things over the years have happened that have made me so demoralized, but I've never given up. I wanted to quit. But the thing is, when you're the boss, you can't quit. Sometimes when your staff resign and then you've trained them up for so long and then they resign, I'm like, God, I gotta start all over again and tell you, like, I want to quit too, but you can't. Fortunately, when you're the boss, you can't quit. But so many times I wanted to quit and just run far away and be a farmer. And I didn't. And I'm here. And I'll be here tomorrow, no matter who comes and goes. And I'll be there. And every single step of the way is an adventure for me. And when you change your perspective and look at life as an adventure and not as a series of failures or wins, it's just an adventure, And in adventure, you will have scary things, you'll have fun things. If you look at that, if you change your perspective and if you change your mindset, change your perspective so that everything that happens around you is exciting, you are the happiest person in the world. It's not about the money. It's always about the next day, a sense of purpose and an excitement and the adventure. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is the key to enjoying any life you choose, whether it's entrepreneurship or a career.
Thank you very much, Beatrice. We have had, I think, over 100 top CEOs, ambassadors, global business leaders out of different parts of the world. But I think it's one of the best that I have heard. It's really, really amazing. A lot of people can talk business. A lot of people can talk about success. But there is only few people who can talk about the inner voice. And I think the inner voice needs a lot of maturity. It needs a lot of sincerity, and it needs a lot of passion to what you're saying. And I think it's beautiful. And I was just actually WhatsApping all my friends and my bosses, and I'm telling them, please watch. And some of them are saying, please send me the recording. It's actually an honor to meet you, ma'am. Absolutely fantastic. I'm getting a whole heap of questions, so I'm going to ask a few of them. The first question they're asking is, they say that the relationship between a mom and a daughter is something special, and sometimes the mom tends to have an influence on what a daughter becomes one day. How did this work with you for such a amazing steel-minded kind of mentality that you have, that when you decide that you want to do something, you want to do it? How does it work?
Well, I am where I am in spite of my mom, actually. But you know what? My mom stays with me. I've never, I know that a lot of how she treated me is the way she was raised, is out of fear. She's a good mom. She has always put a hot meal on my table. She's always taken care of me when I'm sick. But she was so detrimental in giving me any confidence. She broke me. She broke my confidence by always telling me I'm not good enough. You don't have. In a nutshell, she was just telling me that I'm never going to be good enough. That as a woman, as a girl, my job is to be in the kitchen and to be even when with my husband, my ex, I'm divorced now, and even when even in the relationship, if I have an argument with him and it's a valid argument where I had to handle a lot of pressure from him, she will tell me I'm wrong, that I have to give in. So she's always telling me to give in to everybody and never have a mind of my own. So the only thing that made me survive this, my sister that I had has totally complied with that whole thing and has become exactly how she is, doesn't go out, doesn't want to get a job, just sits at home. She will cook at home. And I didn't want that. I think what saved me from being totally broken by her was I was a rebel. And besides being a rebel, I read books. I was an avid reader. I read so much that my concept of life didn't just come from my family. My concept of life and how life could be and how life should be came from the hundreds of books I read, of the millions of adventures in those hundreds of books that told me that there's a life out there that could be mine if I chose it. So I don't have to conform to what my mom was trying to break me to become. I could be anything I wanted. And I kept to that. And I think that is what has made me be who I am today. No matter what people say, 1,000 people can say something else. If I believe in myself, I'm going to go with that. I don't have
to. Whilst you say this, I'm also reading that your biggest motivator was your mom.
Did I write that?
Yeah, because every time she says no, you're saying, I'm going to prove her wrong.
Yeah.
I think if somebody asks you what really motivates you, you will say, actually, it's my mom. Because every time I want to do something, she says, I don't think I can do it. So I am going to prove her wrong. I mean, is that fair to say it?
I think you're looking at it in a very good perspective. And I love your viewpoint. But with my daughter, my firstborn, I'm totally the opposite. I give her encouragement. I give her strength. I tell her to go and do what she wants. Because I've come from that, I know what it's like to be constantly told you're not good enough. And my whole life, I always felt this small. But again, outside, nobody knew that. Outside, it's still me wanting desperately that adventure. I'm going to go get it. So it was this rebel in me, that rebel in me saved me.
Did you ever think of becoming a politician?
No, no, not yet. I don't think in Malaysia I'd make a good politician.
Because you're so much service above self, Beatrice. And I'm in Rotary, and I can see people who are real service above self, and you'll be a fantastic social worker, because I do a lot of work with Rotary. And there are a lot of Malaysians who are Rotarians also, and I mean, I see so much that you have so much life, you have so much to give to life. So
yes, I do.
What do you want people to think of you on the day you die?
Well, the day I die, it should be a long way from now, because I've intended to live. I have told myself I'm going to live until 150 years, because my life just began. I feel my life just began 3 years ago, and I've got so much to do. I've got so much to accomplish that I need another 100 years to accomplish all this. So what I want people to think of me, I never think of that anymore. Remember what I said? I stopped thinking about how people look at me. And all I want to do is to be able to reach out to people, because I suffered so much. It wasn't just as a kid. Even in my marriage, it was very difficult, because I was rushed into a marriage. And throughout my married life, I was trying so hard to be someone else, to keep the peace, to conform. and I believed everything that I'm always the person who is, I'm always wrong, he's always right. And even after the divorce is when I find it, although it was so hard for me to make that decision to walk away, because that's not what Indian women do. It's a big stigma, and I talk about it. Why I talk about it is when I was going through the worst of my worst during the divorce, before the divorce, there was no one I could talk to, because we don't talk about this. We just don't. And I could not ask someone, what is what I'm going to do? How do I get out of it? I couldn't talk to anybody. I just had my own counsel. And I realized how many of us have our mouths shut. And when we keep our mouths shut, we need to hear from someone else that you went through it and you survived it and you are doing well. And that would be the biggest inspiration for people. So for me, if I could have helped even 2, 3, 4 people to feel better about themselves, to find themselves, to not feel that lost, I think that's an accomplishment for me. I will do what I want to do for me. I will live my adventure. But at the same time, it's not mutually exclusive for me to also help people along that journey, And I take on talks like this. I know you talk to me about entrepreneurship, but entrepreneurship is not a cold, calculated thing. It comes from people. It comes from your heart. It comes from who you are. Building ourselves up will be able to build us up to be anything we want. So that's what I want to be able to tell people. I've gone through the worst. I've been broken, I've crumbled, I've splintered into a million pieces, and I thought I'll never rise again. And I have. And I'm on my journey to be the best me yet.
See, Beatrice, the way I read you is, it's not the companies you own, it's not what you have become, but the way you look at life. I
Yes.
mean, you are amazing, amazing.
No,
So, Beatrice, how did you react to the pandemic? Because I just want to get your view, because a lot of us were so helpless during the pandemic. We didn't, we got up in the morning one day, there was curfew all over. They didn't allow us to go to the road. We couldn't go to the supermarket to buy anything. And as I was like looking out of the door and saying, guys, what's happening? How did you react to the pandemic?
I actually understood that the pandemic was much more than just a virus. It was just a lot. And I know if I could explain to you what I thought about it, you call me a conspiracy theorist. But there was a lot more. It was about money. It was about, it was the big guys getting bigger by creating a whole lot of mess. So when I understood it from that perspective, again, you need to understand. We get nervous and we get anxious when we don't understand what's going around us. But when you understand the root cause of it, then you have control over it because you know why it's happening. And I realized it's basically a power grab to be able to everything, Dr. Rohanta, is about money. It's always, you follow the money trail, you see why it is the way it is. Things can be manipulated to be able to get some people richer. So when you look at it, you're like, you know what? This is going to pass out. And meanwhile, since I have nothing to do, like I can't meet my people, let's get innovative. We don't want to sink with it. We want to swim with it. So what we did was we became innovative. Initially, okay, to be honest, it did get to me. It got to me and I was like, and I went on one of really like, what am I going to do, man? How are we going to get, we are in an industry where we have to constantly be able to meet our clients and have business going. So initially it got me down, but after that, in the second lockdown, was there 2 lockdowns for you guys there? We had 2 lockdowns.
Yeah,
so
2 down. Yeah.
Yeah. So the first one got me down, but then I started researching it and trying to understand where it is, and I realized, okay, that's what's all about. Then you feel better because now you understand that this is not some unknown, what is it? You know what's the cause of it. You know that it's not something. When you know what it is, you can control it. You can control your reaction to it. It's always about controlling your reaction to something. When you have certainty, you have less fear. But the second lockdown is when we got really innovative. It's like, you know what, I got all the time in the world. I'm going to now create Voice of ASEAN. We created Voice of ASEAN during the second lockdown. And this Voice of ASEAN is going to be the game changer for Southeast Asia. It's a platform that brings 10 countries together in one platform, and we are raising 10 million to be able to expand physically in every country to create the kind of influence between corporate and government that we have in Malaysia. And all of that came in the second lockdown where, you know what, we're going to do this, guys. I've been thinking about it for 5 years, but we are so busy with the nitty-gritty, the bump and grind of the daily running of business, that you don't have time for innovation, like doing something outside the box. But when you have 5 months of sitting there and wondering what to do, that's the time you take and say, you know what, when push comes to shove, this is what we're going to do. All what we thought about, let's sit down, let's do it. I'm going to do it. What's the word you say? What's the word? I can't get the word, but we got ourselves together, put the prototype in, started planning, and figured out problem after problem after problem. And by the time we came out, we had the prototype of the Voice of ASEAN. And then once you create, and this is the beauty of getting started, when you start thinking about things and you think about all 100 ways why you can't do it, but when you get started, and then you have to take it to the next level and the next level and the next level. You start putting all the pieces together like a jigsaw puzzle. And then here we are. June 6th, we go on our platform to raise funds. Over the pandemic until now, it's been about 8 months. And now we are going on a fundraising platform, and we are getting partnerships from all over countries. And it all came with that one idea that we put to work during the pandemic. So yep, pandemic's been pretty good. You can find
it actually, Beatrice, you're so spot on. The pandemic broke down all the social structures of life, and
yes.
people started looking at new theories because they
Yes.
realized that the old theories are useless anymore because the whole world has changed.
Yeah.
And it's you're right, and I think your innovation is one of those examples of how you think afresh and you ask yourself, can I look at something new? Business so if you have to advise a set of youngsters, who is studying for for an MBA program, and like you very rightly said, we tend to follow social structures. We like to follow what our parents said. We might never want to be an accountant, but we study to be an accountant. But then the MBA is where you look at yourself and say, can I do something new? Well, what is your advice to a youngster doing the masters in a country like Sri Lanka, where absolute mismanagement has happened of the economy, and you got into a very bad financial struggle, but yet when we listen to people like you, it gives so much of hope. What is your advice to a youngster, Beatrice?
Well, my advice to the youngster is do what makes you happy. As what I said earlier, follow your heart. Go within yourself and ask yourself, what is it you want to do? Forget the rest of the world. Just look at what you want to do. What is it you're best at? What is it makes you happy? What is it that you're good at? And don't think in terms of money. Don't think, can I make money from it or not? Is this going to make money or not? You don't know. You can think that doing law is going to make you money, and you may spend 4 years doing law, and then you're not even practicing it. I know so many lawyers who come to my office and ask for jobs as writers because they just did it because their parents wanted them to do law, but they really want to do something else. So you do you. Don't worry too much about don't allow expectations of others to run your life. You do what you are only obliged to listen to what your heart tells you, because you owe it to yourself to live your life to the best of your ability, to the maximum of your happiness. It's not selfish. Let me tell you that. It's not selfish. People want you to do things because they want you to do it, and they tell you that you're selfish if you don't. You are not selfish. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to you and the rest of your life to do what makes you happy. So if you think in your heart tells you that, you know what, I just actually want to just study economics. I love it. I really love it. I like it, but I don't know whether there's scope for it, there's a job for it, and you just do it. You will find it. Because you're passionate in what you do, you will find money will come to you. And again, you don't have to have a ton of money to make you happy. You need yourself to make you happy. Simple things in life can make you happy. Waking up in the morning and going for a walk and feeling the sun on you, that makes you happy. In a grander scheme of life, all the little things we thought was so important to impress this person or that person, it really doesn't matter. In the grander scheme of life, you matter. And the life you live.
I mean, beautiful. I mean, you're so right. Especially in Sri Lanka, we are all brought up in a very conservative society. So, you know, the best advice is something that, I mean, we've heard from you. And believe me, I'm going to find some way to bring you into Sri Lanka within the next 3 to 6 months. And I want you to talk to our road tractors and interactors. But I'm in charge of about 8,000 interactors and about 9,000 road tractors.
Wow.
I'm also chairing ISAC. We have about 6,000 ISACers. And I think you'll be fantastic. I mean, I remember when I was brand manager Dettol, my boss used to always say, go to Malaysia. And he used to send me to Malaysia, and he used to keep me there for like 2-3 weeks to understand. And when I used to go back, I used to ask him, why are you sending me to Malaysia always? Send me to some other country. And he tells me, no, Malaysia is like 30 to 40 years ahead of Sri Lanka. So if I send you to Malaysia, you are going to understand how the consumer is going to behave in Sri Lanka in the future. So you know how to kind of develop products. And it's true. I saw the hand sanitizers and all the different new products of Dettol that emerged in Sri Lanka, maybe about 15 years back in Malaysia. Beatrice, what I mean, I know that you run a boutique PR and an advertising company.
Yeah.
Could you share to us one of those breakthrough ideas that you and your company came out with? I'd just like to hear you.
Breakthrough ideas in terms of what we did for a client, or in terms of what we have in our agency? What makes us different?
To a client, to a brand.
Oh yeah, Genting Group. So the Genting Group is, do you know the Genting Group?
Yes.
The Genting Group, they had an image problem actually. They were always perceived, see, they are very wealthy. They basically are one of the largest companies contributing to the GDP of the country. So they're very wealthy, but they were, the impression people generally had of them were they are this very Chinese, you know, very seedy Chinese outlet, and it only had all this they're rich, but they come in their shorts and their slippers and they gamble, and it's like it became like Genting is only there for gambling. But they wanted to position themselves as how Vegas is positioned, or some of the very exclusive resorts. They don't even say gambling. They just say, like, you know, because casinos are one part of it, but we have lifestyle, we have great F&B, we have it's lifestyle of the rich and privileged. But they didn't have anything to talk about that. When you come in there, when you walk into Genting, all you see is like really, we call it uppack in Malaysia. It's like really like, you know, looking terrible. Okay. So how do we get that? So they came to us and said, we want to be able to capture the essence of what we want to be in a publication. It's got to be so glamorous, so exciting that, you know, we will want to leave it in all the places where we are, and everybody sees that this is Genting Group, and we will become that. When you set an objective, that's how everybody is trained that this is who we are. Because when you see daily people who can't speak English, wearing shorts and, you know, very not high level, And then that's what you think you are. But we want our people and the people around us to know that this is what we aspire to. So we came up with something called High Life, which is a very glossy, international, top of the range publication where we position all the lifestyles of the rich and famous, the greatest places to go, the best of fine dining, Michelin star fine dining. And we did it for 10 years. And I'm telling you, within 10 years, they grew to have all the fantastic things around them. Because again, it's psychological. You have to become what you see every time. And they made it available in all the places where their gold card members, diamond or platinum card members were, to tell them that this is where we are going to be, and they achieved it. So, I mean, they achieved it through their strategy, but we created that mindset, the mind think, this is where we are. And then for the Selangor state government, Selangor is the state where I'm from, and it's the state that contributes to 1/4 of the GDP of Malaysia. And they want to be positioned globally as the first smart state by 2025. And they needed the corporate buy-in for that. Because as a government, they are state government. As a government agencies, government really does not have the ability to speak to the corporate people or get the right corporate people in for a business matching. So for 2 years, that's what we did for them. We basically created a series of events and forums where we came up with fantastic topics of interest. We invited top-notch panelists who they would not have been able to invite because we have kind of connection. And we invited the right kind of guests, the audience who would want to do business with the Selangor state government, position them as thought leaders, and they were happy. And that was quite something that was very talked about from many people. So that's two things that we did.
Beatrice, there's a question coming up. You are beautiful inside. You are a real motivator for youngsters. You're running a top-notch company. How do you make time to look after yourself? Do you work out?
Yes, I do. I work out. I wake up earlier than everybody else. So I just generally run on less sleep. My alarm is set at 5:30 every day. There are times I just off the alarm and go back to sleep. But what I do is, because I can get lazy, because I get tired, I get my trainer to come in 5 times a week. I have a gym in the house downstairs. So by 7 o'clock, he's there, which means by 7 o'clock, I got to move my ass and be downstairs in my gym because I'm paying him. When you pay someone, you have to be there. You don't want to waste it. So I try to go walking for at least 3 to 5 kilometers, at least 3 times a week. And I work out at least 4 to 5 times. I do a lot of strength training. So I've got nice toned muscles, and I'm very proud of them. But I do that in the morning, because at night it's just impossible. So by 8 o'clock, by 8:30, I've done my exercise routines. I've done my enough exercise for the day. And why I do the exercise is because I'm a foodie. I love to eat. I eat a lot. I eat more than men. So if I don't exercise, seriously, I can have people say, don't take rice, only take rice. I'm like, no, I eat rice twice a day. I eat a lot of rice. I can have banana leaf, and I can eat more than you, Dr. Wanda. I'm willing to bet. So when I come to Sri Lanka, you're going to see how much I eat. So the only way I can fit my clothes is if I actually exercise. And it also gives me the energy. Exercise is so important. I can't tell you how important it is, because no matter how smart you are, how many worries you have, no matter how smart you are, you can't focus with clarity if you're not getting your blood circulation at top notch. And it's also the secret of looking good.
There's so much of life in what you say, Beatrice, and you're the kind of role model that a youngster would love to have, because you lead a balanced life, but yet your very simple ethos is do what your heart likes and never do anything for money. It's beautiful. Um, uh, do you ever worry, like, I mean, that there's a day that's going to come where you can't do all what you're doing? So I mean, I also
You're
go and
getting
do my
old.
martial art. Yeah, I love my martial arts, and I love doing different kinds of roles that I do. But I'm actually I dread the day that I will not be able to do that. Do you ever think of it?
I used to at a time when and that's what that changed. I realized that I am just worrying unnecessarily. Because if I can't change it, then I'm not going to spend any energy worrying about it, Because worrying is basically the interest you pay on on a problem that you don't have. We don't have that problem yet. So if you think about it, you're manifesting that problem to happen. So you keep for your energy. One thing I have to tell you, because I was that person who was very anxious. I was always anxious about so many things. What if this happened? What if, what if, what if? And then you realize when you think like that, you're living in the future. You're not living in the present. When you're worrying about what may happen, you're living in a different time zone. You've time traveled and you've gone to a different time zone, and you're worrying about things that hasn't happened. And when you put so much of your energy thinking about that, you know what? That is going to happen. It's going to happen. So what we need to do is change it. Tell yourself that you're going to be the way you are until you're 100 years old. You just change it. Change that programming in your head that makes you worry into something that makes you feel excited about going on. So don't put unnecessary elements that will worry you without giving you anything that's productive. At the same time, you don't want to live in the past either. You don't want to look back and regret. You don't want to say, what if I had done it that way? That time my life was better if I'd done it this way, because it's pointless. And when something is pointless, let it go. It does not help you. Only you have limited energy and limited time, and all of that should be spent just doing what is productive for the moment. Live for the moment. The future will take care of itself, and the past does not exist. What exists is only now.
Beatrice, thank you so much. I agreed for a 40-minute chat, but I realized that, I mean, we can go on chatting, and believe me, we have never had any discussion that has gone on more than 45 minutes. But today we have spoken for over 1.5 hours,
Yeah.
and we can continue because it's such beauty that is coming out. And you have won a whole heap of friends in Sri Lanka, and I'm sure that they will always want to listen to you. I'm going to do up this beautiful clip of you after this, and I'll send you the clip with the Sri Lankan branding, so that you will remember us.
Thank
And
you.
we want you to come back. But is there one idea that you like to share with Sri Lankan women entrepreneurs?
One idea as in?
Your message, your what's your single message that you would like to tell us, youngster
I,
or
I've
women
never
entrepreneurs?
I've never been to Sri Lanka, but I've heard so much about how beautiful this place is and how much potential it is. And I know there's a lot going on there, but a country is like an individual. Anything can happen to it, but you can build it up from whatever ashes you think it is in to be the brightest jewel again. There's always hope. You can build it up. You can build it up to be anything you want. So if we love our country and we love our children, we want the future to be as bright as possible for them in a country that's beautiful, not just how it looks, but beautiful because the systems are in place, and it is there for the common man as much as it's there for the ruling elites. And the only one who's going to make that difference are the entrepreneurs. The entrepreneurs are the strong horse that pulls the cart. So women entrepreneurs, you have unlimited energy and power in you because people listen to you. When you have an idea When you have a spark, when you have a fire, the men will follow. Because there's nothing more energetic than a woman on fire. So women entrepreneurs, you are going to be the ones going to build Sri Lanka to be the beautiful, capable, efficient, forward, thriving economy it's going to be. Because when you do it, the rest of society will follow. So that's what you're going to do. And you got to do it. You got to believe in it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Datuk Beatrice Nirmala, founder and CEO of the IBR Asia Group. It's been lovely chatting with you. Believe me, I think it's one of the most beautiful interviews I've ever had, and I hope we will meet one day soon in Sri Lanka or maybe in Malaysia. Beatrice, thank you so much for taking your time off, and I think you have won so many fans in Sri Lanka. You will have to come to Sri Lanka. Thank you so much, and see you soon.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
God
Bye.
bless you.
Thank you.